A guaranteed basic income is not a new idea. The idea of every citizen being given a sum of money was proposed hundreds of years ago by the philosopher Thomas Paine, and the idea was further endorsed by the free market economist Milton Friedman. Recently, it hit the mainstream when presidential candidate Andrew Yang made it a key part of his platform. With the imminent onset of widespread automation, many tech leaders such as Bill Gates, Elon Musk, and Mark Zuckerberg have spoken in support of the idea of a basic income. Many countries around the world, such as Finland and South Korea, are doing basic income trials. Is a basic income fanciful futurism or an idea whose time has finally come? And if we were to establish a basic income, how should we do it? I will not go over all of the reasons for implementing a basic income, nor all of the reasons why some oppose it. There are many excellent videos that explain these positions in greater detail. In this video, I will focus on the bigger reasons for and against a basic income, and what I see as a practical way of getting there. What I see as the biggest arguments for implementing a basic income are eliminating poverty and preparing for the onset of widespread automation. A fact that many people don't realize is that poverty is already expensive. Poor people disproportionately use costly emergency healthcare services and are more likely to be implicated in criminal activity. Andrew Yang estimates that his $2.8 trillion Freedom Dividend Plan, a plan that would give every citizen $1,000, would save around $100 to $200 billion per year in healthcare and criminal justice costs. By providing a basic income, we would not only be doing something that is humane and compassionate, but we would also be eliminating the cost poverty currently imposes on society. The other big reason for establishing a basic income is to help people cope with the onset of automation. There is a disagreement about how much unemployment widespread automation will cause. Like previous periods of technological disruption, new previously unimagined jobs and economic opportunities may emerge, most likely in creative and care job sectors that are difficult for robots to replace. However, what can't be disputed is that automation, like any pervasive change, will be disruptive. As we've learned in the last few years, disruption can lead to social and political instability. A basic income can help people cope with the shock of automation, helping them adapt to a new economy and thereby help our society maintain greater stability. However, no policy idea comes without its potential flaws. There are two big criticisms leveled towards basic income policies. The first is that if people are just given money for doing nothing, they will become lazy. While this fear is understandable, the current evidence from basic income trials does not support this. For example, a trial in Finland where a basic income was applied to unemployed people showed that it made them slightly more likely to become employed versus the status quo. Other trials show similar results, such as one in Dauphin, Canada, where unemployment rates did not change, but more people were employed full-time instead of part-time. We should take into account that many existing welfare systems are structured in a way where people lose their benefits once they become employed, creating a disincentive to earn income and be productive. Implementing a basic income would eliminate this disincentive against productivity. In addition, what we observe as laziness is probably largely a psychological phenomenon and varies from person to person. This view resonates with my own personal experience, where a sense of purpose has made a greater difference rather than any financial incentive. The second more valid criticism of a basic income is that it will cost a tremendous amount of money. Though a large amount of funds will come from consolidating existing programs and reduced healthcare and incarceration costs, all proposals require some form of new taxes. In Andrew Yang's Freedom Dividend Plan, he proposes raising the necessary $2.8 trillion through a myriad of taxes, such as a value-added tax, a carbon tax, and a financial transactions tax. Though a basic income will be a net benefit, new taxes will inevitably hurt some people at some level. In addition, the more new taxes you have to raise, the less politically feasible a basic income proposal becomes. So, how do we go about designing a basic income? I think the first objective should be to start small and gradually go bigger. A smaller initial plan would likely be more feasible politically, as fewer taxes would need to be raised. As people get used to the system and more tax revenue is raised, it could be gradually expanded. The second objective should be to align interests. For example, one solution proposed for funding a basic income is implementing a robot tax. Putting aside the difficulties in implementing such a tax, this would create a conflict between the interests of companies in increasing productivity and the public's interest in having financial support. Such conflicts could lead to the policy being undermined and increase socio-political division. A better idea is to use policy to align the interests of the corporate sector and the public so that the public wins when companies are more productive. What could a feasible basic income look like? As a starting point, I particularly like the solution proposed by the Canadian Parliamentary Budget Office. They propose $1,500 a month to all individuals where 50% of earned income is deducted from that amount. It means that a person earning $3,000 a month would no longer receive any basic income. While this is not a universal basic income, it would effectively eliminate poverty and it would only require raising the national sales tax by 3%. This is much more feasible than trying to implement a true basic income, which would require increasing the federal budget by over 40%. Now, you may be wondering, since the proposal was developed in Canada, how applicable is it for different countries around the world? Of course, the amount per person will vary based on the wealth of the country it is implemented in. However, I believe the concept is broadly applicable in at least developed countries, as they already have some form of welfare state and levy some form of value-added tax. Now, we could just fund this new basic income using our new tax revenue. However, I would like to take it a step further. Instead of just injecting the new funds into basic income payments, I propose that the raised funds go towards creating a social wealth fund, similar to the Norwegian Sovereign Fund or the Alaska Permanent Fund, where the funds are invested and the dividends are used to pay for the basic income. This would have a few advantages over just using taxes to pay for the basic income directly. The first is that it would align the interests of companies and the general public, as the public would have an ownership stake in these companies, and would win when these companies win. Secondly, as the fund grows, the benefits would grow as well. It could eventually grow into a true universal basic income without requiring new taxes. Finally, after enough funds have been raised, the taxes used to fund the basic income could be phased out or used for other purposes. Realizing this social wealth fund would not be without its challenges. Implementing such a policy would require governments to have foresight and be disciplined, things that are often lacking. Such funds in the past have been mismanaged or raided in order to satisfy short-term political gains. The government implementing such a fund would need to put in place measures so it could not be easily undermined by political cycles or reversed by political short-sightedness. However, examples like Norway and Alaska show that such a model is feasible and something we can implement now. The biggest barrier is not the numbers and cents, but our unwillingness to embrace change and novel policy solutions. Before making this video, I saw a basic income as something infeasible now but inevitable in the future. With many governments implementing similar financial aid programs in order to help people cope with COVID, I don't think implementing a basic income is a big mental leap either now. Having done the research, I believe that if we start small, this is something that is not only feasible now, but absolutely necessary as well. Hi, thank you for watching. Do you think this basic income is feasible, or is it still pie in the sky? Or maybe you think it doesn't go far enough? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you'd like to see me produce more content like this, consider subscribing or supporting me on Patreon. Thank you.